You ever been on woods and then randomly heard the crack of an SVD and you fall over dead? It was probably this guy. And I think a lot of the deaths that you have are because of a lack of understanding. So today we're going to be diving into how to kill Shturman and everything you need to know. So we're going to be starting off with one of the most popular and high traffic areas in woods, and that is the logging camp. Now, logging camp is not only the spawn location of Shturman, but it's where dreams go to die. If you are going to find Shturman, he is going to be in this area. So the first thing that you need to understand is that he's never alone. Shturman has two additional brothers that called the Svetluski brothers, or Svetluza brothers. He always comes packing with the two additional followers that are usually armed to the teeth. But Shturman himself actually has a unique set of gear that makes killing him incredibly valuable and an important resource in Escape from Tarkov. The first one is iconic SVD. Now that is the sound of probably your inevitable death, but he also comes with a spare AK-105 that can have a Golnik inside the magazine. And if you're incredibly lucky, he has the Red Rebel melee weapon, which we'll get into a bit. And I actually made an additional video talking about ways to get this, one of the best melee weapons in the game. So unlike Killer and other Scav bosses, Shturman does not wear body armor. His followers do, but he actually has the most HP as 792, which is 350 more HP than the PMC. And the most interesting part is his head is 62 total HP, which means although everything will pen his head, you actually have to have a round that has 62 or more flesh damage to one-shot him in the head. But as for his followers, they actually come packing with stuff like an SVD Hunter, SR25 Mosin, OPSKS, and a VSS. With incredibly good ammo, these guys are some of the biggest problems of killing Shturman. They can also wear some really unique and special armor like level 6 Zook 6A, all the way down to level 3 Karasa. They also are one of the best chances to get the Pestily Plague Mask for Kappa and the Shroud Face Mask as well. The thing about Shturman that I want you guys to understand is that he has a unique range modifier where at around 150 to 200 meters he can spot you depending on the day. Obviously nighttime affects this. But the first thing is that you should never peek this rock that I'm on top of if you think he's around. And he'll let you know when he's about to lock onto you with warning shots, which is a good indicator. Now, if you've heard these shots, it's probably best not to peek the rock for much longer. I would honestly try to get up close and personal or try and get even further away depending on the visibility of the said day. But one of the best places to fight Shturman is inside this 2-crate warehouse. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the rocks at the top above the triple stack cabins and some of the areas that I think that his goons or himself would be sitting in based off the way that I'm hearing the SVD. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be checking all the unique spots that I've actually noticed that a lot of the goons like to take up. So after I've finished scanning the horizon, I'm going to run around and try and bait shots, and you're going to see that one of the followers is here at the Jeep right in front of me, which gives me a good indicator that Shturman is probably further back, depending on the way I heard the SVD shots earlier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bait the front, and I'm going to look for muzzle flash and also for an SVD to pop off. Now, Shturman can sometimes try and shoot you through hard cover, and that's probably the best way to triangulate where he's hiding. See, Shturman goes for the stealth approach, whereas his goons will run at you like this one here and try and push you aggressively and get you caught out. So the thing is, Shturman will always hide. So if you use his SVD to find out where he is, he actually dies incredibly quickly due to the fact that he's not wearing any armor. So after you've killed Shturman and also his goons, you're probably wondering, well, what's the next step? Now, woods is obviously a very high traffic area, and a lot of the time killing these guys is something that I'd recommend doing late into raid or third-partying someone else who has. But if you do, go over to Shturman, the first thing you want to check is his scabbard, and that is where his melee weapon would be, because this is some of the best way to get your hands on the Red Rebel ice pick. So every single time you're on there, you search his pockets and check his scabbard. Every single time you kill Shturman, he will always have a 1 out of 1 Shturman key in his pockets, but a very rare chance to spawn the Red Rebel. So as soon as you kill Shturman, make sure you keep your eyes peeled for the Red Rebel, as it's worth a living fortune on the flea market right now. So make sure you always check that, because it would be a real pain to miss. So you've checked his pockets and you found the Shturman key, and you're probably wondering, should I sell it for about 258,000 rubles, or do I use it? The first thing you need to understand about Shturman's stash is it is a single-use key. As soon as you use the key, it will be consumed. So the value of the box can exceed 258,000 rubles, but it won't always. There is a rare chance to find a lot of awesome, rare, and expensive items within this stash. There's also a chance that you can get scammed. Now, if you want more important information or more in-depth video, I have a separate video called Shturman's Hidden Stash, where I talk about this stash a little bit more in depth. But I think one thing that comes in handy is playing Where's Wally with Shturman. The main advantage to Shturman is the fact that he always hides. He'll pick a location and then his goons will find usually a triangle pattern around him. So if he's hiding in any of these locations where I'm pointing the arrow, then you can guarantee that his goons will be in another nearby with line of sight. They always set up in a triangular pattern, with one usually taking the bottom end down towards the shack and water side, where one hangs out towards the front logging cabins, and Shturman really loves to hang out near these 3 triple cabins, some of the most common locations I've found him. So when in here, make sure you always check. Another great way to kill Shturman is night raids, and more specifically, the use of thermals at night. Due to the fact that with thermals, especially the FLIR, you can get some incredibly good distance, you can find that the AI is quite stupid, and every single time you shoot at them, if you miss, they'll simply just run to the next spot and hide. Where I was talking about earlier, you're going to be noticing a lot of the goons are just going to constantly keep rotating if you miss your shots. But if you use this extra bit of distance to your advantage, or use the fact that the thermals can see through the bushes that Shturman usually needs to hide, you can actually pop them one by one, and you'll find that AI is incredibly dumb at nighttime. However, once they're locked onto you, it is a bit of a nightmare, and they will kill you very quickly. Night raids are one of the most important ways to kill Shturman, and if you want to do it successfully and regularly, it also gives you a nice element of surprise and stealth to allow you to farm him without less player interest. So that's it for Shturman Killing Guide. If this helped you in any single way understand Shturman, you know what to do. Make sure you smack that like and subscribe button, it helps me out a ton. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.